Yo, what is up, Daredevil fans? My name is Andrew, aka Noezone, and today I'm going to be reviewing episode 3 of Daredevil Born Again. And this will be a spoiler review, so here's your spoiler warning if you have not watched this episode yet. But before we get into that, make sure you leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. It really helps out the channel a lot. And if you're enjoying Daredevil Born Again, I am covering it week to week, so subscribe to the channel and turn notifications if you want to see more content about Daredevil. But with all that being said, and without any further ado, let's talk about some Daredevil, baby. Starting out with the opening scene, which had a conversation between Hector and Matt, and it mostly had Hector reminiscing about where he's from, Puerto Rico. And I really do like this conversation between Matt and Hector being the opening scene of the episode because it really did set the tone that this is not going to be an action-heavy episode, but more of a dialogue-heavy one. And after that, the new intro plays, and I can't lie, this intro is growing on me a lot more. Now, would I say that I like it more than the original one? No, but this is a really good TV intro. And sometimes I'll catch myself throughout the day just humming the new theme, which I do think is a good sign. But after that, we see a truck get held up and the two people riding in it are murdered. And this is kind of setting up a plotline for Vanessa and Fisk to argue about when it comes to just the gangs warring with each other on the streets, and them debating with each other on how they're supposed to handle this now that Fisk is mayor, which this is seen in a conversation in the very next scene. And honestly, I really do think it's interesting how they're playing the Fisk and Vanessa relationship in this new show, because Vanessa is kind of hardcore now, and you really can tell she's been running the business for Fisk for a while. But that's not to say that Fisk has gone completely soft in this relationship, because at the end of last episode, remember, he blackmailed the police commissioner. But regardless, I do think this dynamic that they're building up is really cool. And after rewatching the original show and lead up to this, it does play really well off of season 3 and Vanessa's arc in that season. And what I mean by that is the little screen time that she does have in season 3, she wants to be a part of the business and be a part of Fisk's life in a different way. So I do think it is a natural progression in the story for Vanessa to be where she is right now in this conversation. We also got another segment of the BB report, and I think the biggest highlight of this new segment from BB was definitely the civilian saying that he has no problem standing on business and pulling out his piece on somebody. I don't know why, I just thought it was really funny the way he said it. But after that, we get to check up on Matt Murdock after that brutal fight scene at the end of episode 2, where he's rinsing off his knuckles in the courthouse bathroom and then talking some mad shit to the officer he beat up. Honestly, I'm just happy to see that Matt did not kill those guys at the end of episode 2, because I cannot be the only one that thought that he absolutely looked like he broke that guy's neck at the end. But after that, we get a scene of Cherry picking up Nikki Torres, and Nikki Torres was the witness at the end of last episode that Matt was trying to protect. And honestly, Cherry might be my favorite side character out of the new cast so far, and I really do like the way he's utilized by Matt Murdock's new law firm. But after that, we get Officer Powell taking the stand in the courtroom during the Hector trial. And I forgot to mention earlier that Officer Powell was the officer that Matt was talking to in the bathroom. And of course, during this scene, we're getting a bunch of lies being told by him up on the stand about what actually happened that night that Hector intervened, which leads to this really cool moment where Matt hears Hector's heartbeat getting really fast and then he tells him to don't react. I just thought it was a good moment and a good use of Matt's super hearing. But after the opposing lawyer gets done questioning Officer Powell, Matt gets to take the stand and literally just starts roasting him. I think my favorite line that Matt says to him is that the best cure for a black eye is fast hands, because that one genuinely made me laugh. And I feel like this scene did a really good job of showing us Matt being a lawyer again, because I feel like that was lacking from season 3 of Daredevil, even though I love that season. And for obvious reasons, he's not a lawyer in that season, but it is just really nice to see him back in his profession again. It just really took me back to the peak courtroom scenes from seasons 1 and 2 of Daredevil, especially when Matt reveals towards the end of his questioning that he knows who Nikki Torres is. But one last thing about this specific scene, I feel like I've been talking about it for a while, but I really wanted to mention this. We see another dirty cop with a Punisher logo tatted on his neck whisper that Torres cannot testify, and I just love the little sprinkles of just different officers with the Punisher logo on them in different ways. And all these sprinkles have kind of just culminated into how this episode ends, but I'm going to talk about that later. But after that, we see Cherry pull a bait and switch on the dirty cops by putting Nikki Torres in a different vehicle than his. And I feel like this scene really displayed how far these dirty cops will go in New York City right now, to the point that they're willing to just take out a witness. But even though Cherry had this great plan to get Nikki Torres to the courthouse, Nikki folded as soon as Matt started questioning him too far. And honestly, I feel like the lies that Nikki told under oath should have botched the entire trial, but Matt and McDuffie still somehow win in the end. And speaking of Kirsten McDuffie, I feel like a lot of her scenes got cut from this episode because she did not have a lot to do, unless that's just how the script was, because Matt is straight up carrying this trial on his back for the whole time. And I'm not complaining about that by any means, because Matt Murdock is the reason that I'm watching this show. It's just purely an observation. But to be fair, in the old show, when Matt and Foggy were working together, Foggy didn't do a lot of the talking in those trials. It was really always Matt. But in the next scene, we see Fisk's right-hand man, Buck, kind of handled that truck shootout situation that happened earlier in the episode. And at first, I was thinking that Fisk sent him to handle this because I've just been conditioned to think that. But in reality, it was Vanessa Vanessa that sent him, which again shows just how much more she is about this life than Fisk is now. Also, I like how that scene plays into Fisk and Vanessa's relationship issues as well, because now on top of the fact that Vanessa's cheated on Fisk, now he doesn't even know what Vanessa's doing behind his back when it comes to the business. But next we get back to the trial where Matt gets to question Hector, and Matt literally pulls out like the silver bullet for this trial and just reveals that Hector is White Tiger. And honestly, the only thing that I could think about after Matt did that was like, how would you like if somebody did that to you, bro? But in the context of the trial, it does make sense, and it got them the win. And Hector even has a conversation with Matt in his cell about that was not his secret to tell. And Matt kind of answers this with like a layered response that I really enjoy, with him saying how much he wouldn't miss being White Tiger after this trial, because he tells him he does not need to put back on the suit after the trial, which, spoiler alert, he doesn't fucking listen. But I really do enjoy the fact that even in an episode all about the courtroom drama, and we didn't see Matt suit up as Daredevil not once, we still are getting these story details along the way of Matt's struggle with letting the devil out again. But then in the next scene, we get back to the courtroom and the whole tone of the trial shifts after Hector is now known as the White Tiger. And I really do like the angle that they played with just kind of revealing all of the good things that White Tiger has done for the community. Specifically, I really like the part where Matt's asking him why did he do these things, and he just keeps saying because it was the right thing to do. But then the opposing lawyer, of course, tries to flip that statement by saying that good guys can do bad things and that bad guys can do good things. And another point he made was that the police officers do the exact same thing but without a mask. And honestly, I feel like that's what made the courtroom scenes in this episode so great, because of the angles that each lawyer was kind of attacking from, and we got to see both of them. And honestly, by the end of the episode, I wasn't really sure which way the trial was going to go. But after seeing both of the lawyers' closing statements, we get this really sexy shot of Matt going into the courtroom when nobody's there, and I just really enjoyed this shot, especially the beams of light coming through perfectly. And he doesn't even say a word of dialogue in this scene, but he's like kind of fiddling with the Daredevil horn in his hand, just kind of showing us that he's wrestling with the fact that, like, is going by the law the right thing to do, or should he just be Daredevil again? It kind of reminded me of the same struggles he was having towards the end of season 3 when he had Ray Nadeem testify. And of course, Fisk got to the jury and then Nadeem died. And the point that I'm getting to is that it specifically reminded me of the line that Matt says to Foggy where he says, "We tried it your way." And obviously he was talking about killing Fisk versus taking him down the right way with the law. But I feel like this is kind of similar because Matt did not know if they were going to win the trial or not in this episode. I don't know. That was just the point of comparison that my head drew during this scene. But of course, Murdoch and McDuffie win the Hector trial, and the cops are outraged, and Fisk is outraged. And I feel like this is perfectly leading to the anti-vigilante task force that Fisk wants to set up and that we've seen set photos of from last year. And that perfectly ties into the end of this episode where Hector puts on the White Tiger suit again after Matt told him not to because there would be a target on his back after the trial. But he does it anyway, and then he gets shot in the head, and that is the end of White Tiger, at least this version of White Tiger in Daredevil Born Again. And then the ending shot of the episode, we see the Punisher logo, but we all know that's not Frank Castle. I want to say it's this guy from the set photos, but it could be anybody on that task force that Fisk is trying to build. But hey, it might not even be the anti-vigilante task force yet. This could just be like a task force that the cops even form up by like going rogue against vigilantes at first, and then Fisk gets the bright idea to kind of just formalize it. I don't know. That ending left a lot to speculate, and I really do hope that we see Punisher come back very soon, because we all know Frank Castle is not going to be very happy about these dirty cops using his logo for wrongdoing. But before that ending scene happened, Matt and Heather get a really nice scene together as well. And I really like this scene, especially the way that Matt talks about Foggy, but it just sucks to know that he's gone. I still have not emotionally recovered from the opening of episode 1. Also in this conversation, we get Heather dropping the title of the episode by saying that may God hold them all in the hollow of his hand. And in true Daredevil fashion, that means we have 2 episodes now that have religious-based titles. And that makes me so happy that they're not trying to remove the Catholicism from Matt Murdock's character. It just isn't as prominent as I wish it would be in the new show, but it's okay because it was a very heavy theme in season 3. But that's going to do it for my review and breakdown of episode 3 of Daredevil Born Again. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like on it. It really helps out the channel and the algorithm a lot. Subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for more Daredevil content. I'm going to be covering this show weekly, like I said earlier. I also make other movie content if you're just into movies and TV and nerdy stuff as well. Make sure you share the video with a friend if you think they would enjoy it as well. Make sure to leave a comment with your thoughts on the episode. But as always, guys, it's been Noezone. Peace.